Every story has a beginning and the end, and that's what makes the story outstanding and special. We know that the moment for the characters to say goodbye will come, and so we appreciate and cherish the time that we get to spend with them even more. However, the end has become quite an old-fashioned concept in a rapidly growing cinematic universe. For characters in the MCU, death is not even the end, but a temporary stop. And even when they stop, there are still myriads of their descendants and variants to replace them. That being said, right in the same universe, a story actually came to an end. Director James Gunn, who used to win audiences all around the world with a no-name superheroes team, will now end his journey with Marvel to lay the foundation for a new cinematic universe, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is James Gunn's goodbye. Marvel's newest movie is a chaotic but emotional farewell letter for the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy, a wild and epic universal quest, full of laughs, sadness, as well as catchy melodies. Moreover, it gives us the feeling that an era has really come to an end, and that makes Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 become special. Starting the movie with Creep of Radiohead, it seems like James Gunn wants to remind us what the Guardians truly are. A bunch of freaks, weirdos, and outliers. And amongst those, there may be no one as much of a freak, weirdo, and outlier than Rocket. But right during the first movie, we already noticed that there's something wrong with his personality, even compared with his comrades. Hiding away emotions with jokes and insulting his comrades, Rocket rarely talks about his origin. All we know is that he is the result of a cruel experiment, and only until Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 that we get to see how dark his origin is. Throughout his childhood, there are days after days getting caught and dissected just like a lab rat for a high evolutionary who is obsessed with creating a perfect society. Rocket is the most transcendent product of his, so this time he has come to claim his valuable property. In the movie, Rocket's story is told through different flashbacks and plays the role as the main emotion line of Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3. Sometimes, these scenes are not very smoothly transitioned, but they always succeed in bringing to the audience emotions that they would not want to experience very often. Witnessing Rocket and his disabled friend trembling for torture is really Marvel's most creepy and difficult to watch scene, and so when we get to see these creatures' brief visual moments, I'm sure few of us could hold our tears. Only James Gunn would choose a raccoon to be the center of his last movie, and only James Gunn could pull it off so magnificently like he did. Star-Lord may be the team leader, but Rocket has always been the team brain and heart. And just like what a character in the movie told him, the Guardian's journey has always been about him. It's just he hasn't realized it yet. In Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3, we see how the raccoon's story connects with the whole trilogy's theme. It's about how each of us can overcome tragic paths to find our second chance. More personal than his comrade's redemption arc, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 is Rocket's chance to fix his regrets and nurture a family, which he couldn't do in the past. This must be the movie's strongest point, and it will make the ones who have followed his journey in MCU all the more appreciate him and this journey. However, take away from Rocket, and the movie's weaknesses start to show. After each movie, the Guardians add one more member to their crew, and now, even after the God of Thunder's leaving, the rest of the crew still seem to be too much for a single movie's running time to handle. First is the side storyline of Star-Lord and Gamora. If during the movie's opening, we can see Rocket quite depressed, then we can say that Star-Lord is even extremely depressed. Binge drinking to forget Gamora, who, if you guys don't remember, has been murdered by Thanos, then reappeared in Endgame, but this is an earlier version than the first movies. Therefore, she has no memory of Star-Lord. So after re-encountering with her, Peter tried to do everything in order to re-flirt with her, but Gamora didn't give a single eye to him. This storyline, in my opinion, is still interesting and contains most of the movie's funniest punchline. Moreover, it also gives Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana a chance to play the original Star-Lord and Gamora's characters, the lovable idiot and the cold-blooded assassin. These versions have been loved by fans but have been absent for quite a long time on the screen. Apart from them, there are still Groot, Drax, Mantis, and Nebula, who don't have too much to do because most of them have finished their character development in the earlier movies, and they don't change much in Guardians 3. Even Rocket, the center character of the movie, can hardly be considered the protagonist. From a different viewpoint, we can consider the Guardians' friendship as the protagonist. As for friendship, they're willing to risk their lives to do everything for each other. However, each member in Guardians 3 has his or her own storyline. This is not bad, but it means that the movie has to simultaneously juggle between different storylines, and this makes the movie's main storyline become a bit messy and can hardly find its consistency. And so when the movie ends, most objective issues are solved too simplistically and lead to quite clumsy ending. The characters' huge decisions are made quite easily and unnaturally. That is not to mention supporting characters like Kraglin, Cosmo, or Starcar. If you don't know who they are, then I hate to break you the bad news, but the movie wouldn't mind explaining them to you. You gotta follow Disney Plus TV shows and figure it out by yourself. The crowded space affects not only our heroes, but also the villains. Comic fans may feel disappointed with Adam Warlock, though he is the movie's main laugh-jerker. The original Warlock is one of the wisest and most powerful beings in the universe who play a very important role in the Infinity Stone story. But now, as MCU's Infinity Saga has ended, Warlock's original role is no more, and his appearance seems quite forceful. Probably old comics fan and who took keen on his character's adaptation may pity that he isn't given more place to shine. Having defeated the Green Lunatic with the power Infinity Stone and the whole planet, the Guardian's next opponent is the High Evolutionary, based on a familiar motif of an evil god who is mad at his own creation. The High Evolutionary is a maniac who shares superiority complex, obsessively hunting down Rocket Raccoon to serve his crazy ambition. On theory, this is a good foundation for a good villain, and it wouldn't be difficult to detest the one who rapidly tortures animals. However, if the flashback gives us the feeling that High Evolutionary is a really scary and powerful opponent, his appearance in the present is not so scary, especially when facing the Guardians. Emotional moments, as always, can hardly have their space when after them are rapid jokes. And though having to admit that James Gunn is one of Marvel's funniest filmmakers, we can hardly expect to laugh at all of the punchlines in the movie. However, Gunn is also a rare gem to be able to maintain his unique filmmaking style even when working with a studio like Marvel. And once again, he said dyed Guardians of the Galaxy with a can't be more James Gunn color. It's been quite a while since we get to really praise a Marvel's movie for its CGI, especially after the disappointments of Ant-Man 3 and Thor Love and Thunder. With CGI combined with costume designing, each destination in Guardians 3 appears colorful and gross in a real unique way. From the organic space base made of slimy meat to the creepy half-man half-animal minions, the actions, especially the long one-shot near the end of the movie, are organized very well, and the soundtrack, which has become the franchise's most anticipated feature, once again become one of the movie's strongest points. It makes every scene more emotional and it brings them all to a whole new level. There's one thing that makes Guardians of the Galaxy special and easier to connect with audiences. They are a group of people who have gone through too many pains and come together and care about each other, not just for heroes' responsibility like other teams. They are a family that we can connect with and love. Therefore, it will be difficult to see this family disbanding or saying their farewell. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 is an amalgamation of humor and pain that James Gunn is probably the only one who can create. The director used emotions of characters that he have become attached with in nearly a decade, exposing their trauma behind the mask of insults and jokes. He wants the audience to understand every member's pain, and only then would he give them the opportunity to heal those wounds together. The movie is a rare start for non-ending cinematic universe, and like most farewell letters, is full of emotions and hurtful moments. However, at last, the movie also makes us realize that the farewell doesn't always have to come in loss and tears. Sometimes we can say farewell with a smile.
Someday, I'm gonna make great machines that fly. And me and my friends are gonna go flying together into the forever and beautiful sky. Lila, and Teeps, and Flora, and me. Rocket.
Rocket. It really is good to have friends.
Yeah.
'Cause I killed an MD.